it's Katie, also known as the Celestial Homebody, and on today's video I'm going to be doing the Meet the Creator tag. The Faded Wildflower Crochet tagged me in this like a month ago at this point, and I'm just now getting around to sitting down and filming it. So welcome! This is just a little bit about me and how I became a content creator and a crafter, and I hope that you find it interesting learning a little bit more about me. I know that I personally love to watch my favorite content creators giving more insight into their own lives and how they got to where they are. So without further ado, let's get started. So there's a couple of questions that we have here. So the first one is, how did you learn to crochet? So I started crocheting not that long ago, actually pretty recently. Back in 2022, I was pregnant with my first baby. His name is Sawyer. And when I was pregnant with Sawyer, I was like, I want to be able to make this child like things like toys and clothes and things like that. And I had grown up knitting. I have been knitting since I was like 12, 13 years old because my mom is a knitter. So I was like, how hard could crochet be? I can pick it up and I can make all these cute little toys for him. And I'm sure a lot of my skills will transfer. And they didn't really. Really, the only skill that transferred for me from knitting to crochet was how to hold your working yarn. Everything else was completely new to me. But the first thing that I ever crocheted was this little bunny. I will put a picture up on the screen right here. This little bunny is inside out, and I was using, I think, a 4mm hook with burnout blanket, which if you're a crocheter, then you know how hard that is on the hands to use. Mind you, this was the nasty, really stiff burnout blanket as well. So I made this bunny, and a lot of people, when they start with crochet, they jump into like granny squares or something simple. I said, no, I'm gonna learn by throwing myself into the deep end. So to learn crochet, I am just self-taught. I just went to YouTube University, looked up how to crochet, found some different creators that I personally resonated with my learning style, and taught myself how to crochet. And I remember it took me like 4.5 hours just to do the first foot on that little bunny rabbit. And because my stitch count was off because I wasn't really sure how to count the stitches and everything. But short story long, here I am now, a few years later. I consider myself a plushie expert at this point, and by that I just mean that I can freehand things now without having to reference patterns, which I would have never in my wildest dreams thought would be possible for me when I was first learning how to crochet. The next question is, what is your favorite thing about crochet? I think the concept of just being able to imagine something, any character that you can't find anywhere else, any concept of a plushie that does not exist, you can dream it, you can make it with crochet, and I think that that is the coolest thing. And something that I always tell young crocheters, like if they come up to my booth at markets and whatnot, and they say like, oh, I'm trying to learn how to crochet, I always tell them that it is a difficult skill to learn, but it's easy to master. Once you have the basics down, you can make anything your heart desires, and you can make gifts for people and gifts for yourself and things that you would have never thought possible. And I think that is one of the coolest things about crochet. Also, one of my love languages is gift giving. And so just the look on somebody's face when I gift them something that I made for them that I know that they have been looking for and can't find anywhere. For example, a crocheted plushie of a very niche video game character that they can't find anywhere else, and I am able to make that for them. And just the brightness that comes into their eyes and on their face, it just means the world to me. That is probably my all-time favorite thing about crocheting, is giving them as gifts. If you could only use one yarn for the rest of your life, what would it be? Easy for me, since I only do like stuffed animals, critters, whatnot, would definitely be a chenille yarn. And I'm thinking that Elise Voluto would be the yarn that I would stick with forever, because if you've been around the channel for a while, you know how much I love the Elise Voluto yarn. You can only get it overseas. You cannot get it, unfortunately, in store anywhere here in the US. So that's a little bit of a bummer, and probably why you have never heard of it if this is the first time hearing me say the words Elise Voluto. It is a super, super plush, soft yarn that does not shed. So I definitely think that Elise Voluto, but if we're limiting it to like United States only, then I would say the Premier Chenille Basics Brights. They have a lot of colors and it does not shed very much. So I think that those would be the two definitely that I would be torn between if I could only choose one for the rest of my life. What's the weirdest thing you've ever made? I don't know that I've made anything weird. Well, weird is in the eye of the beholder, and I make a lot of weird things. Like, I just made this dragon mermaid, which to some people would be weird, but to me that's just normal. So I guess really anything that I do that is like a mythical creature or something that I just make up or a video game character, I guess those would all be considered weird to some people. So I guess we'll leave it at that. Something that I will never crochet, probably adult clothing. I, first of all, hot take, do not think that crocheted clothing is cute. For the most part. I have seen a few exceptions, but like that viral Taylor Swift dress that everybody was making, like that's ugly. That might be an incredible hot take, but please take what I have to say with a gigantic iceberg-sized grain of salt, because again, I do mostly plushy stuff. Flat crochet is not my jam, because again, I started with the plushies and that's just what I've been doing. But something that I would definitely never crochet is like any sort of clothing for myself, probably. I have been tempted in the past, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I would much rather make like a blanket than I would something to actually wear on my body. Maybe a wearable blanket, that would take me years, oh my goodness. But for the most part, adult clothing, I can't see that in my future anytime soon. Where do you get your inspiration? Couple of places. The first place being my family, and like I mentioned, I love giving gifts and crocheting things that I know that other people will enjoy. So if I know that somebody is looking for something specific, I find a lot of joy in making that. I also get a lot of inspiration from my daughter, Celeste. If you did not know, she's 9 months old at the time of recording this, and I think like, oh, I'm gonna make this for her in the future when she won't put it in her mouth instantly and then throw it to the side 10 seconds later because she's on to something else. But honestly, the biggest place of inspiration for me is honestly just this weirdo, chaotic brain of mine. Sometimes I will have dreams that I crocheted something, and then I actually bring that to life. Sometimes I'll just have like be daydreaming and vision up something. Color combinations are something that I really enjoy spending time on when I'm picking my yarn for different projects, because I am an artist really first and foremost. I feel like that is the underlying drive in me being a crafter, is I love art and color theory and all of that stuff. So picking out colors sometimes is where I start, and I say like, I really want to use this color and this color together. What can I bring to life with this particular palette? And also in addition to that actually would be Etsy. If I just go through Etsy and search crochet patterns, sometimes I'll just find a pattern that just sparks that thing in me, like I have to make that right now, and I know exactly how I'm going to modify it to make it something that I like to make. If you've been around here, then you probably know that I love to freehand things and I like to go rogue on patterns. To me, the pattern is just a suggestion. I would dare to say 85% of the time I change something on a pattern that I purchase, which I know can be frustrating for viewers when you're like, you want to create something that I created and then I'm just like, I freehanded it, sorry. It's all in this rattling around in this brain of mine, along with the Hannah Montana lyrics from 2006. Favorite thing you've made so far this year? This one is hard. I have a lot of favorites because every single week I hop on here and show you guys what I made through the week. And I feel like on every single episode I say, this is like my favorite. Some things that are standing out though are pretty much everything that you see in the background. So I only put the very, very special plushies that I feel an attachment to, that it's hard for me to take to market and sell and part with. I only put those plushies in the back here, but some of my all-time favorites would probably be my fairy butterfly dragon back there, my Merida doll, and my Tia the elephant. That is actually a character from Animal Crossing. I'll put a picture of her up here, but I crocheted her and she took a long time and I will never sell her because I'd have to sell her for like $600 with how much time and material she took, because she's a big gal. She's girthy, she's rotund, she is a lady after my own heart. Okay, the next question is crochet plans you're excited about for the future. And I was not intending to drop any of this information anytime soon, but since we're here doing this video, I guess I'll spill the beans as to what I've had going on behind the scenes and what my dreams are for the future. So first and foremost, months and months ago, I drew my little avatar of the Katie holding the yarn that you saw in the intro. And I put a special band around that yarn. And a lot of you were saying like, is this going to be your own yarn line? And I was like, no, ha ha ha. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have been doing a lot of behind the scenes work to launch my own Celestial Skein yarn brand. And we are far, far, far away from that coming to pass. But I am documenting the entire process from day one, just researching it when I decided to officially jump in and do it, all the way through manufacturing and getting batches and testing, and all the way to launch day, which is going to probably be sometime next year. So do not get your hopes up for any time soon, but that is something that I have going on behind the scenes. Y'all know that I am very picky when it comes to yarn. I like it feeling and looking a certain way. I prefer certain colors. I don't like the shedding, but I don't really know what crocheter says, yeah, give me more shedding, please. So all of those things I am taking into heart when manufacturing my own yarn line. And I already have some amazing names in my mind about like what I want to call certain shades. All of them are celestial themed, of course, although my husband Ryan had the idea that I should name the colors after inside jokes that we have on the channel. So if I were to do like a minty green, it would be called Where Are the Turtles? If I did like a darker hunter green, it would be called Girthy Pickle. An orange would be called Cheese Balls. So we could go that route, but we would have to come up with a lot more inside jokes on the channel for me to name all of these different colors. So I don't know that we're going to go that route, but just planting that seed for you. If that is something that you're interested in the future, then make sure you just subscribe to the channel if you're not already and follow along. And it's a journey, you guys. But another thing to answer this question about what are my crochet plans for the future, this is not anywhere outside of my imagination and my hopes and dreams. One day, Ryan and I would love to have a brick and mortar store that is like a coffee bar, but also like a crochet hangout where we would hold like classes and offer rental supplies for people who wanted to get into crafting, and just like a cozy little place. Like I have always dreamed of owning a store, and I just have like this romanticized vision of me pulling up in the morning on like a misty autumn day with my coffee and the dogs, because of course Jovi and Paisley would be like the door greeters at said store, and Celeste by my side, and just you know, it's like drizzling and we go into the shop and I flip the little sign that says open. Like all of this is going on in my head and it sounds so stupid and cheesy when I say it out loud. But I have been keeping an eye on retail locations, either to rent or to own. We live in a very small old town built in like the 1800s, and we have a little town square that has our courthouse right in the middle, which is like a beautiful staple point. And then around this square are all of these little shops. And there's like a seamstress shop, so you can like go in and get sewing supplies and fabric, fat quarters and all of that good stuff. But I was like, imagine if we were like right next door and we were like the yarn side, because they only do fabric. And so I that is so far in the future at this point, because one, we do not have the finances to be buying a store, but also Ryan and I know nothing about owning a brick and mortar store, running it, anything like that. It's all in my head. Although I will say that the opportunity has kind of started presenting itself, because I met an amazing subscriber, and I'm going to consider her a friend now too. I won't name any names because I don't know how public she wants me to be with this, but she is opening a store on the other side of Indiana from me that's going to be a very similar concept, and she has invited me to go and do classes and things there, and they were talking about possibly expanding in the next couple of years and doing like a franchise. So that might be something that's in the cards for Ryan and I and our family, and we would host it here in little Greensburg, Indiana. So this is a long-winded way of saying, yes, I have a lot of plans. They're all very grandiose. Earlier, we talked about my favorite thing about crochet. My least favorite thing, which is the next question, would have to be too many ideas, too many projects, too much yarn, too little time. So all the time, Ryan and I just had this discussion the other day, how I really wanted to read more, because reading is good for the mind. I feel like I could really benefit from getting some mental stimulation outside of binge watching The Office for the 15 millionth time. But I was like, I can't read. I need to crochet. I can't do both at the same time. Maybe you're a person who can, but I cannot do that. And I was like, well, I could listen to audiobooks, but is that really reading? You know, there's that whole debate. But seriously, I just need like an extra 2 sets of hands, and I just need to clone myself a couple times so that I can have one of me crocheting full-time, one of me doing my other hobbies like reading and art and, you know, drawing and pottery and painting, all of that stuff. And then the main one of me just being a mom, because that is the best job in the entire world, is being a mother. So yeah, worst thing about crochet, I need more time. What are your favorite and least favorite things about being a content creator? So my favorite thing has to be you guys. I have made so many friends, as you could probably tell by the title of the channel, The Celestial Homebody. I am a homebody and I don't get out much. Really, I only leave my house to get iced coffee and or yarn. So I don't have a lot of adult friends. Also, we moved away from our hometown a few years ago, all the way on the other side of the country. So all of the friends that I grew up with, we'll still text and stuff, but we can't get together like we used to. And so being on social media and on YouTube in particular, I have met so many of you guys who I consider my friends now, and we will, you know, message back and forth on Instagram and send each other videos and pictures of what we're working on. And I love that. It has been so fulfilling. And I just love that this job has given me the opportunity to meet you. On the flip side of that, though, there is a few downsides to being a content creator. First of which is that you cannot control who your face, who your voice, who your ideas, opinions, etc. get out into the world to. And there are a lot of online trolls who will continue to watch your videos, because you can't say you're not allowed to watch my videos anymore, but then they'll feel the compulsive need to leave a very nasty comment. And I just say, didn't your mom ever teach you, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, right? So you have to have a really, really thick skin if you want to be on YouTube and be putting yourself out there. And if you do, and you also agree with me that it is very difficult in that regard, you know, you just have to think like, let's put that person who is criticizing your every word and your voice and how you look and whatever in front of the camera and see how they do. Because it's not as easy as it looks, I promise you. Also, a downside is fighting with AI, specifically the YouTube algorithm that decides which of your videos get pushed and which get thrown to the wayside. And as this channel has grown and we were so rapidly have been gaining subscribers and growing the Homebody family, and I have gotten a big inflated head about it because it only takes one poor performing video for YouTube to say, never mind, you actually don't deserve any views, and then you start losing those subscribers and the algorithm's not showing your videos to any new people. And so it's just kind of like a mind twist when you get accustomed to one thing and then all of a sudden YouTube is like, no, 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 you know. And fortunately for me, it's not my main source of income, but I know for a lot of YouTubers, it can be their main source of income. So just being at will of the YouTube artificial intelligence algorithm is really not a fun place to be. Like, I don't want to be under this thumb that I have to crawl out of every time a video doesn't perform well, which probably is, to be honest with you, is going to be this video. It's not going to perform well, and I'm going to be stuck in algorithm jail again, but that's okay. I'm doing it because I want to, not because I'm trying to please anybody. And then the last question today is, how did you get your channel name? And this is something that I get asked quite a bit, actually. And a lot of people mention how they love the Celestial Homebody as a brand name. And I came up with this name toward the end of 2024. My previous brand name was Thistle and Thread. And when I opened my Etsy shop almost 10 years ago at this point, I can't believe it's been almost a decade that I've been on Etsy. But when I first opened it, I did a lot more things on the sewing side. So Thistle and Thread made sense for me because thread. And then I also love Scotland, and my first tattoo was actually of a Scottish thistle. So that made sense for me then. But as I started moving away from the thread related things, I was like, this name really no longer fits me. And so I was trying to decide on a name that I could use across all different craft areas, because I know myself and I know that although I'll always be a crocheter, that might not always be my primary domain. I might move in more into like painting or pottery, because those are also things that I love doing. So I just wanted a name that was flexible, that could move with me through my different phases of life in my business. And I mentioned earlier that I have a 9-month-old daughter. Her name is Celeste. And so when I was thinking of a name, I was like, well, what are some traits that describe me? And, you know, crafty, homebody, iced coffee addict, all of those things. And I was like, what could I make of this here? And then I decided that since my daughter's name is Celeste, it would be a sweet tribute to her if I somehow included her name in the business name as well, because maybe one day a mama can dream that she will grow up and want to be just like her mommy and follow in the steps of the crafting entrepreneurial route. And so that's when I decided, well, Celeste Homebody, I could do a play on words, and instead of being a celestial body like in the sky and space, I could be the celestial homebody because I never leave my house. And so that was kind of the train of thought that I went on to get the channel name, and I love it. I have no regrets about changing it. It is registered as a business officially. So yeah, on my website and everything, thecelestialhomebody.com, like I own it, and it's really exciting to be in this like new phase and chapter of my business, because where I started 10 years ago as a poor broke college student, just making little trinkets and mouse ears for Disneyland just to fund, you know, my play dates with all my friends in college. And now being here where I am and owning like a full apparel site and doing stickers and crochet markets and having the YouTube channel, it has all just been a whirlwind. And a lot of people ask me if I regret leaving the classroom, because if you did not know, I was a teacher in a past life. That's what I went to college for. I have degrees in child development, psychology, lots of things that I am no longer using. I mean, I guess I use them in my mom life, but not in my work life anymore. And to that question, I have to say, I miss it in some aspects. Like I miss my students because they were always the highlight, but now it's kind of shifted where like you guys are my students, and I look forward to interacting with you guys. Every time I post a new video and you guys comment, I get like that same like happy butterfly feeling like that I did when I would walk into the classroom in the morning. Somebody just bought something. And although it was scary to leave what I had known teaching and just follow my dreams and be an entrepreneur, no, I do not regret it, even in the slightest. I am living so many people's dreams, and I am so fortunate to say that I am a full-time creator, and that is just wild to me. I do not take that for granted even a little bit. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me as I ramble on this video, and hopefully you learned something new about me. I would love to know a little bit more about you though, so I want to know in the comments. Leave me a comment. What is your favorite thing to crochet? And if you say it's clothing, I'm not going to hold it against you. Different strokes for different folks, right? Thank you all so much again, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.